Why, hello. It has been a while since I just sat down and talked, but I helped myself out today. So I have a couple videos that I want to run through, a couple topics I want to talk about. Why I just talk on a microphone, no gaming, no nothing. Um, but today, my first topic that I want to discuss, and by the way, I have a script, so I'm not just going off the top of my head. So you see, I got my green screen set up. So this will be y'all will see it in due time. It just look to me it's just like green screen. When I put it all together, I'll have clips playing in the background. But today, I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni. I just wanted to say we got to talk um, because I know that this team is 7-2, and we are one drop away from being 8-2. But fans do have some concerns, especially when it comes to decision making. Nick Sirianni's bad decision making. That's the first topic I want to address is Nick Sirianni's decision making. So I will give you a scenario. In the New Orleans Saints game, it is 14 seconds going into the half. We have not scored all day. And honestly, it's fourth and inches. The only option that you should have would be to run a tush push or to take your points because they were extremely valuable in that game as the game ended up being 15-12 or 21-15, something along the lines of that. Basically, we needed every point in that game. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Eagles. The final was 15-12. So we could have used those extra points at the end of the game, but instead we ran a fake tush push, and we didn't get any points, and then the Saints went out the half. So I understand the mindset of not wanting to run a tush push every time, but it's given the success rate. I don't think there's any reason to not run it. So that one didn't make any sense. And then later in this same game, it was a fourth down call, and this is the no man's land where it's too close to punt, but a field goal you kind of pushing it, and it turns out to be a 60-yard field goal attempt by Jake Elliott that we missed it with a couple minutes left in the game, and so the Saints go down. You're giving the Saints an opportunity to go down and get more points because you're kicking the ball from essentially the 45 to 50-yard line, which made no sense to anybody in the stadium, which made no sense to anybody watching the game. It just didn't make any sense in general. Another example would be going for it on fourth down and inside the 5 with the Falcons in the first half. You left 3 points on the board there. We win that game if you take your points, and the play call didn't even make sense then. The Jaguars, you did the exact same thing you did versus the Saints twice. Fourth and inches, you don't run the tush push. You run a play action rollout. Instead of just handing the ball off to Saquon or running the tush push again. I know that the Jaguars had stopped it earlier in the game, but I have faith in I think a lot of Eagles fans just have genuine faith in the O-line to take care of what they need to take care of and get the tush push 9 times out of 10. And I take the Eagles O-line over anybody other than the Lions. Like, that's the only group that's really compete with them. And so it's concerning to see the decision making that takes place from Nick Sirianni. But I don't think I think if we had came out of the bye looking sluggish, looking unprepared, just looking disinterested, then I think Nick Sirianni would have been on the hot seat. He may have been out of his job if they didn't come out of the bye week 5-0. Since the bye week and since he cut his hair, we are 4-0. But since coming out of the bye, we are 5-0. And there's two big factors. These are the next two topics I want to talk about. Two really, really big factors that have helped the Eagles turn around a 2-2 start and turn it into 7-2. So the first thing was Jalen Hurts and the offense has finally gotten into a groove. Now, part of that is because Eagles fans know when Nick Sirianni's calling plays, you get a sense of when he's calling plays and when Kellen Moore is calling plays. Because anytime you see Jalen Hurts under center and you see a play action, that was Kellen Moore. Anytime you see something across the middle or an RPO, it's Kellen Moore. But if you see a lot of deep ball, shotgun, if you see a shotgun set just the whole game, and it's just straight pass, 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 you know Nick Sirianni's calling plays. But because this has happened in every game, and this is part of the reason why the Eagles took so long to finally score in the first quarter of their games, because the first 20 to 25 play sheet, the first 20 to 25 plays didn't make much sense. But once they got out of that and they started calling plays based on the feel of the game, then they start putting up points. And the fact that we went up until the Jacksonville game to even put up points in the first quarter is insane. Like that's ridiculous. So, but we are winning games in spite of that. But in the last 5 games since the bye, Jalen Hurts has 1,200 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, a 72% completion rate, which is insane, and 125 passer rating. And up until this Dallas game, he had 0 turnovers. So he went 4 straight games with no turnovers, and the offense was clicking. Now, I'm not going to say that I think part of a little the Dallas game, any divisional game, it's gonna be nasty. Something's gonna happen. So I wasn't expecting anything less than I was kind of expecting a turnover, maybe 2, and they got 2 turnovers in that game. But the defense stepped up big. We're gonna talk about them in a second. But the offense is starting to click. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith being on the field is a major plus. Now we have to find a way to get Jahan Dotson way more involved. I don't think he's involved in this offense enough. But it was good to see him make a big catch versus Jacksonville that came up clutch. It was good to see Johnny Wilson get his first touchdown. Anaya Smith just got back from being injured for a while, and they put him off the practice squad. It's good to see him on the field. I want him to get a little bit more active in the offense. Jordan Mailata is coming back tonight. I'm recording this to get the day of the Washington Commanders, so I'm gonna try to edit this and get this up before that game starts. And I'll give my previews and all of that in a second. But the offense is looking great. Lane Johnson is in prime form, whatever you call it. He is on point this year. Cam Jerkins has stepped up. The O-line has stepped up big time. Mekhi Becton has looked good. Fred Johnson, shout out to Big Fred. We love Big Fred. Saquon is essentially the baller, but which he wanted to do in New York, but just didn't give him the talent around him. So the offense is looking much, much better. Now tonight will be a big test. I did see a report that Marshawn Lattimore is not playing versus us, so I do expect a ton of points. I do expect the Eagles to air it out a lot. But we will see. If you betting on tonight's game, take the points. But that's the Eagles' offense. Essentially, Nick Sirianni not having his hands 100% on the offense, so that means the Eagles look a lot better. But and another reason that the Eagles are turning around, not named Nick Sirianni, is Vic Fangio. Now, for the last essentially since Doug Peterson was here, they've been trying to find a protege of Vic Fangio in the Tampa. Don't listen to me. And his too high shell defense. And instead of going to get another protege, they actually got the person who runs it to a T. And boy, I tell you, I was about ready to give up on it because the defense looked exactly the same through the first 4 games as it did at the end of the season, the last 6 or 7 games last year. And I did not have – it wasn't looking good. And I was like, okay, I don't know what the problem is. Brandon Graham was leading the team in sacks through 3 games. He had all of the sacks, which was like 2 through like 3 or 4 games. It didn't make any sense. We paid Bryce Huff. He was nowhere to be found. He's slowly getting his groove in. Jackson Hunt he's going to get more snaps because Vic Fangio said, I believe Bryce is dealing with a wrist injury. I can't confirm that. I thought I saw something like that, but I don't know. But the big thing in this time is we finally have good linebacker play. That is the one thing the Eagles haven't had, at least in the last 10 years, is good linebacker play. It don't matter who the coach was. At the end of Andy Reid's era, they didn't have any good linebackers. Interior linebackers. Nick Sirianni's first stint didn't have any good linebackers. Doug Peterson didn't have any good linebackers. These guys are fast and getting to it. Shout out to Zach Bond. Yeah, his stats over the last 3 games, he has 30 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 tackles for loss, an interception, and a fumble recovery. And his signing went under the radar. And this year, his interception versus Jacksonville was ridiculous. But this year, they have gone. He has stepped up big time, and he has really solidified himself. And it's crazy to think that he didn't even play interior linebacker until he got to Philly. My camera all blurry and whatnot. Lock in. Thank you. He didn't. He was not. He was not a interior linebacker before he came in. So, but he has. He's the highest graded linebacker in the last 3 weeks, according to Pro Football Focus, with over a 90 rating. So he's leading the charge. Nakobe Dean got a pick. I'm still waiting on Quinyon's pick. I'm still waiting on that. But he has been shut down. He is putting up tour. He got dudes in prison out there. Tour dates. CD had like 6 catches for 20 yards. Jamar Chase didn't have a lot of yards. So him and Cooper, Mr. Dijon. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. They have put their footprint on his defense, and moving Cooper to the nickel has been a blessing because they took Avante off the field, and I hate to see that happen to Avante Maddox. I love Avante Maddox, but Cooper is just a lot better than him right now. And they tried to sneak Avante in. They snuck him in at the end of that Jacksonville game, and he gave up a catch, which was kind of disrespectful to him to throw him in that late in the game, unless it was an injury. But yeah, the defense is balling. I'm gonna give kudos to Vic Fangio for turning around through 10 weeks. They are tied for 5th in points per game at under 18. Yards per game, they're 2nd at under 275. 100 rushing yards allowed per game, which is 5th in the league. 173 passing yards, which they only gave up 49 to the Dallas Cowboys, which is 3rd in the league. The opponent completion percentage is at 60.7, which is 4th in the league. The red zone touchdown percentage, which we kind of figured out which was going to be good throughout the entirety of the year based on that Green Bay game. Camera. What are we doing? There we go. And then we are sacks per game. We're at 3. So, and that's with us having a horrible start to start the year. Vic Fangio has turned it around. So, yeah, 5.5 yards per pass attempt allowed, 8 total touchdowns given up, a QB rating of 78. Look, I can go on and on all day. The Eagles have had a massive turnaround, but we do have concerns about Nick Sirianni. And in the 2 portions of why the team has had a turnaround, you can't mention Nick Sirianni because he's been, especially on offense, he was an offensive coordinator. His decision making sometimes is really, really questionable. But I digress. But the Eagles got a big test tonight versus the Commanders. I really look forward to that game. I'm gonna try to get a video out about this or more NFL topics, specifically that game, next week. But right now, I'm really locked in on the Thursday night game. Hopefully they get a win. Hopefully they look good doing it. I don't want another scary win. But 7-2, one Saquon catch away from being 8-2, and But we need every win we can get. So I do want to say thank you for watching. I love you. I'm gonna put my green screen is gonna include all 22 clips. But that is all I got for Nick Sirianni. So I want to say thank you for watching. I love you. Bye.